half a day. A month is much too much, or wouldn't you say? A second is too short, an eon too long. A week is just stupid, and so is this song. Ooh, everybody's got a half an hour. Haven't you got a half an hour? This bill only needs a half an hour. So come in and stay.
Live from Bangkok, Thailand, the video podcast capital of the world. This is the Kirchenbauer Haffenhauer. I'm Bill Kirchenbauer, your host. And our motto for this show is I talk to myself all the time anyway, so you might as well listen in. Hello, and welcome to episode 16 of the Kirchenbauer Haffenhauer. I'm along here with Paul Brumbaugh. Paul is in a special place that you're probably not going to see him much. We're doing a little jerry rigging today, so things aren't quite as normal, but we're going to figure that out. So, and you are there, aren't you, Paul?
Why, yes, I am. I'm here. I'm the virtual embodied voice. There you go.
Yes, you sound like I've locked you in the bathroom. Let's see. I want to just start out with a little interesting thing that happened this week. Earlier in the week, and I mentioned this on my Facebook page, but I'm going to go over it again because it's just so interesting. I put up a post. I found this picture, and I'm going to show it to you here. I can do it on the phone. Let me. But this is so weird. There it is. It's let me get it. There's the best. There flashes back my light. Anyway, that's Melania Trump. Whether it's AI or not, God, left is right and right is left on here. Whether it's AI or not, I don't know. But it's a picture of Melania Trump, evidently obviously on a stripper pole. Oh God. Okay, it just gets so weird. Anyway, and there's Epstein, and if you enlarge the picture, there is Donald sitting there too. And I saw the picture, and I put up a post there. I put up a post on my Facebook page that said, "You've heard of elf on a shelf. Well, this is hoe on a pole." Okay, so I did that. And everything was just fine for a few days. And then I suddenly got this message here that I'm going to attempt to show to you too. It said, we have taken, you got restrictions. He gave me restrictions. I couldn't do any video calls. I couldn't talk. I couldn't thing because I had violated their community standards. And they were going to remove me from my Facebook page and punish me for a month. And I thought, I've had this happen before. They're actually being a little bit lighter on it. They just used to cut me off for a month. And that hasn't happened in about a year. I've kind of learned to get around different words. I say the word stupid with an I instead of an I, an exclamation point. I say idiot with an I instead of an exclamation point. Moron is zeros instead of O's. Little things that can. Asshole, I turn in S's into dollar signs. Little trick. One word I've managed to get out a lot, which I'm surprised the algorithms haven't caught, is bull fucking shit. So if you run that all together, bull fucking shit, they don't mind that. I don't know. Anyway, I got this complaint from them, and then I was going through it and looking at. They texted me again to remind me that I was fired, and it says you can apply for a review. So I thought, oh, here we are, a little justice. Now, Facebook doesn't really let you. You can request it, but they give you options. It's like when you call to find out a problem. They don't let you actually tell you what the problem. More often than not, when I go look for computer help or something, my answer isn't there. They give you a list of things. Here's your choices of things that can be wrong, and my choice is never there. So I pressed on, appeal, and it said, harassment. Was it harassment? Was it a mistake? Was it this? Was it that? And it was nothing I could find that really matched why I thought that it shouldn't be put up. So I picked "It's a Joke," closest thing, and then next day I get back a another thing that says we've removed your restrictions. We looked at it. We're a bunch of screw ups, and you can have your time. They reinstated me. So glory, hallelujah. I was back, and they even put the post back up. But they have things on it. I see these like OnlyFans girls go down and do these little hand dances, and little heart shaped. Oh, I love you, and they dance and stuff. And some of these girls actually will go as far as like unspreading their legs real quick, just real quick, and you can see what's there. And I sometimes make a little. It's just a flash. It's like less than a second. They'll flash, or they'll lift their skirt real quick, and it's just a flash. And I guess the algorithms don't catch that, but it's what we used to call in high school a beaver shot, and and so, but they put that stuff up. I turn it into a video game anyway, sometimes. But I'll watch the video and I'll try to get a screenshot right at that, right at that second. And it's like a video game. I'm trying. Oh, I got the picture. But they put stuff up like that. But they're complaining about me with Melania on a pole. So I survived that attack by Facebook, and I'm allowed back on the air. So that's good.
Well, that is good.
Uh,
That's kind of it's the world we live in today, right?
yeah. No, I got vindicated, and I don't know. If you don't want to, I don't know. I guess X, they're more liberal on there. I don't use X. I have a hard enough time dealing with Facebook, but that's neither here nor there. I got back on, and I'm not in the detention hall anymore. When I was in San Francisco, I went to Marina Junior High School, and the teachers there, if you did something bad on the playground, it was a huge playground. They would make you go over and sit on this bench that ran along the the uh, the actual school, the building, and they had pigeons or seagulls because we were right down Marina Junior High School near a marina down there. So there were a lot of seagulls that would hang up on the edge of the school, and your punishment was you had to sit on the bench that was right underneath there. So you're constantly like wondering and if you sat there for a half an hour, you're gonna get some white stuff on your head. So that was the punishment. That and telling the seventh graders that there was a swimming pool on the roof. That was the big one. They go, really? Oh yeah, it's a big swimming pool. It's very nice. You should go up there and check it out. And they go, where's the swimming pool? And we'd there's no swimming pool. I took a printing class. There's something they don't have people complain about the classes that they don't have anymore in school. I took a metal shop. I think I took a wood shop. I never took auto shop, but I took printing shop where we had these old printing machines, probably from the 20s or 30s, and they were rolling, and we'd have to set type. And I don't know if you've ever set type before, but the little metal strip. It's an unbelievable. Gutenberg had a good idea. It was a level above writing, but it was such a slow process. And it's putting. I learned that E is the most common letter in the whole alphabet when used in writing and everything. So we had a big box of E's, and you had this big box with A, B, and little slivers of lead, I think it was. And you put it in there, and then you'd have to arrange it and then lock it down until you got this big wooden frame with all these letters in there. And then you put it in the machine and get it going. And if you caught your arm, it'd tear your arm off. So it was but they don't do printing anymore.
For years, I worked with a Heidelberg press, which is one of those big old beasts like you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. It looks like a steam engine breaker.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely something right out of the Industrial Revolution, yeah. I'll tell you.
And of course, a lot of people don't know the name of the person that has to put all that when you get done with it, the printing, you got to break it all apart. Now you got all these little letters, and somebody has to go and put them back in the box, and that's called the printer's devil, the devil's assistant, or something like that. It had a slang name for the poor son of a bitch that had to separate all the letters and stuff back into it. Anyway, I don't know how I got off onto that. So the subject today I wanted to talk about is tipping. Tipping, and I don't mean tipping over cows, which is something people do, and it's actually a thing. It's tipping money, tipping tips. I believe everybody should have to work for tips at some time. It's not a worldwide thing. Like I live here in Thailand, and it's not really a tipping culture, even though I do tip. I'll leave 20 baht, which is the equivalent of $1.30 or something, or I'll leave 20 baht, or give someone 20 baht here for 20 baht, which is 66 cents. You can get a nice bag of really good battered and deep fried bananas, and they're delicious. You can buy a lot of stuff on the street for 20 baht. You can buy fresh pineapple and watermelon for 20 baht. And but in the little restaurants, family-owned restaurants, nobody tips here. Nobody tips. Now, if you go to Lowry's, the prime rib over here, and you go to a nice restaurant, they usually add on a service charge of 10%. I have no problem with that. And I've worked for tips. I was a busboy. I was a waiter for a little while. And so I worked for, I was a bellman. I worked for tips. Thank you, sir. And so tipping is part of the American culture. And I know a lot of the people that went from Europe and everywhere else around the world to America for the soccer games, they were quite kind of taken aback by the tipping culture. And I've seen people post receipts of dinners they've had. And I mean, it's first of all, the charges. I saw this one receipt where they charged them for the utensils. And I used to do a joke about this. I mean, what are they going to do? Start charging you for their utensils? Oh, you want to swallow that? Well, that's 25 cents. Anyway, this thing had actual charges of the use of the booth, $3, ice, $2, ketchup, $3, utensils, cleaning up the table. I mean, my gosh, it was 20. I think the bill was somewhere around $50, but $20 of that was just bullshit stuff that would piss me off to the point where I'd never go back. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But that's not tipping. That's bullshit charges. So when it comes to tipping, I've seen a lot of waiters and waitresses say, you need to tip like 30%. And as a person who has worked for tips, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I used to, when I lived in America, I used to tip usually around 15%, 20% if they were good, and sometimes as much as 25% if I was a really nice restaurant and they were really on the ball and there was a whole team of them, at a Ruth Chris or something. But it seems to have gotten out of hand with people wanting, half your bill. And some people, are just plain cheapskates. And I think two things play into this, two mental things. First of all, I think that people have a cutoff limit in their mind of how much they are willing to give somebody. And typically, tips are based on how much you spend, which I think makes sense. If you go in and spend $500 on a dinner for you and your 3 buddies or 4 buddies or your wife or whatever, then that's $500. And typically you should leave, if it's a nice place, at least 15 and possibly 20%. So at $500, that's $100 tip at 20%. And some people, just in their mind, they just cut it off. $100. Well, I I won't. They just mentally are incapable of accepting the idea of that's what the number is, and that $20 doesn't do it. Even though you think $20 are, you got to tip accordingly to what you spend. You didn't think about it when you spent the $500 on the food, did you? You didn't go, oh, $80 for a steak. That's way too much. No, you ordered the steak. So it's supposed to be based on. And some people say you don't have to tip on the drinks. I don't know. But that's one thing. I think people just have a mental thing where they cut it off no matter what the price is. They say, I'm not ever going to just give somebody 30, 40, 50. They have a cutoff, whatever it is. And then people who have never worked for tips don't understand what it's like to put up with people. And I watch people order. I have stopped being friends with people who have not talked to a waiter or server nicely. I have been nasty. There was a woman that was a friend of my wife and I, and we used to go out to dinner, and she was just like, she turned into Queen Elizabeth. Well, I liked it, and I want this, and I want that, and this isn't good. Just she always find something to, and she had nothing going on in her life. She had no money. We were always paying for the dinner and stuff, so she really didn't have any power in her life. So she took it out on people that were supposedly servers, and it wasn't very nice. I quit taking her out to dinner. I won't eat dinner with people wearing baseball caps at the table, and I won't go out to dinner with people that treat wait staff rude. Now, conversely, I've had wait staff that were pricks and bitches. They want to get off. And again, I was a busboy. I was a dishwasher. I was a salad girl. I think I went over that once to work in a nice restaurant, and the girl that did the salads, they had a special room. She took off for a week, and the women that ran the room, oh, who are we going to get to be the salad girl? And I said, I'll be the salad girl. They thought that was funny, so they gave me the job. So I've worked in the restaurant business, and I've seen how it goes. Sometimes things aren't cooked the way they should be. Sometimes you find things in your food that maybe you shouldn't have. Sometimes you look at a pancake and see Jesus. I don't know. But whatever it is, I think a couple of times in my life, I have stiffed a waitress or waiter. Very few. I always leave at least 10%. But I think once or twice I was in a place, I don't remember the specifics of it, but I just said, this person was really shitty. They got me the wrong thing. They interrupted when we came over. They smelled. They just shouldn't be. They threw things on the table. And I'm not one of these people that goes looking for friends. People say, oh, the people are so nice there at the bank. They're so friendly. Oh, I go in that store and they're so nice and friendly. I don't want a friend. I'm not looking for nice. I think politeness. You should be nice to your customers, but I'm not looking for companionship. I'm looking to buy a basketball or something like that. And now people are talking about you got to tip everybody. And now they've gotten with the computer card thing, little screen they put you on the spot, where when you go to swipe your card, it says, how much of a tip would you like to leave? Not would you like to leave a tip, it's how much of a tip would you like to leave? So now here you are in a situation standing across from a person who has just turned the tables on you, so to speak, with a thing, and they know what it says there. So they're looking at you like, what are you going to do? And Jersey Mike's does this. And I do usually give them a tip. 10%, it's a takeout. You don't have to wait on me and get me water or any of that thing. But I would always tip them because they did a good job. There was no lollygagging or just hanging out and bullshitting and stuff like that. I didn't have to wave to get my attention. They do a good job. I give them a couple bucks. And if everybody did that at the end of the day, they'd have a lot of money. But the thing is, people don't do that. But the complaining I'm hearing now, somebody I saw was complaining, and I don't doubt them. They were trying to get into a club, and there was a or there was a cover charge, and you had to pay the cover charge, which was $25. I don't know what was going on in there, but I wouldn't pay to. I don't know, depending on what was going on in there. But they had to pay a $25 cover charge, and then the guy at the door wanted a tip. For what? He wanted, he wanted $10 or something for a tip to take your money. Hey, you have to tip me because I took your money. Didn't I do a great job of that? And and she was kind of irritated about that, and rightfully so. Uh, you see tip all the place, and I get my toenails done. Uh, I get my fingernails done here, and I tip the girls. Um, Here, I get my toenails done for about $9. Now, when I was back in Austin, it was $25. This was 5 years ago. $25, and then I'd give the girl a $5 tip. But here, it's $9, and I give the girl 40 baht, which is about a buck 66. And they're just happier than shit. Just, oh my God, because nobody tips them. They don't tip here in Thailand. Tipping and stuff, so they're very happy. It's. I went to Costa Rica once, and I love markets. To go to a country and then go to their markets, and if they have open markets where they have vegetables and stuff, those are always fun. And I ended up going to this little lunch counter, so to speak, that they had in this Costa Rican market. And I would eat there because they had kind of like a blue plate special, and it was good food. And I would sit at the counter, and they had waitresses there. And I went there the first time, and I got the plate of tamales and enchiladas or whatever they were talking about. It was like $3. It was so cheap, and it was really good. And I left a $1 tip, or the equivalent of a $1 tip. And this woman looked at me like, wow. And when I came back the next day, she saw me and oh, come over here, sit down. Here's a chair. I'm going to clean it up. I mean, you'd think I had sent her kid through college. She was so happy. And I got great service. And this is a poor woman in a poor country, working, being a waitress. And, I give her a tip. It's a buck to me. It was nothing, but to her, it was a lot. But in America, if you gave somebody a buck 66 after you spent, $10, $12 on something, they chase you out to the parking lot and throw it at you. That just doesn't fly. But here in Thailand, where the minimum wage for a day's work is not 300 baht, which is roughly $9, they're happy to get a buck 50. I use Grab, which is the equivalent to Uber, and I have things brought. It's easier for some guy in a motorcycle to bring it to me than to go take the BTS and go to the place. It's so much easier. So I tip them like a buck 50 baht. No, I see 50 baht. That's that's a little less than $2, and they're just happier than hell. And so it's all kind of the perspective of where you live. For one thing, here in Thailand, the equivalent of $1.50 is they can go buy lunch. They can go buy dinner with that. Whereas to me, it was the tip off of the dinner I paid for. So it's kind of gotten out a little crazy. I think the service charge is a good idea. I think 10% is certainly reasonable, even if it's just fan service. But in Europe, they don't tip. I remember when I was a bellman, the Canadians used to come down from Canada, and they were, now here's a quarter. Don't spend it all in one place. And I go, oh yeah, great. I'll make sure I stay away from that candy bar machine. But the whole world doesn't do it. And of course, the advocates for that will say, well, why don't you pay your employees enough and we don't have to pay it? Well, That's fine, but you know what that would entail. That would entail the restaurant, by the way, most restaurants run on a skimpy profit margin anyway. So adding more money, which they did in California, they did the minimum wage at $20. Prices are going to go up. So you're going to pay for it one way or another. If they have to pay, all this money to their employees, and I don't know what the minimum wage is, like $2 or $3. And so waiters and waitresses, it's an art form to be a good waiter or waitress. One thing I don't like when I'm getting served is a waiter or waitress that you go up, what would you like? I said, well, I'd like, and then they don't pull out a pad or anything. They don't write it down. And I said, are you going to write this down? This is how it usually goes. Are you going to write this down? Because it's me, my wife, and my son and his wife. No, I got a good memory. Just tell me what it is. Okay. Well, I'd like this and this and this, and she'd like that and that and that, and he'd like this and this and this. And sure as shit, every time they come back to that, you forgot oh, yeah, yeah. I said, wait a minute. Remember when I said, write it down? And you said, oh, I can remember. Evidently, you can't.
Yeah,
Write it down.
especially if it's like something like, oh, I don't want onions or tomatoes or something, right?
I had a friend of mine that hated onions. He hated onions. And I remember we went to the Outback Steakhouse once, and he told the woman, and she wasn't writing it down. He said, no onions. I don't want any onions. I don't even want them on the plate. I don't want any onion. No. So she brought I think it was a steak, and it had onions on it. And he said, hey, I told you I didn't like onion. Oh, I didn't. And I said, you didn't write it down. That's why. And so she took it back, and she brought it back, and he picked the plate up and he smelled it, and it still smelled like onions. He said, no. Get me a new steak. Get me a new plate. I don't like onions, and you should have never put it on there in the first place. And so he got a new steak and everything. So it's, we still tipped her, but he wasn't particularly happy with.
Yeah, it's funny that like tipping culture around the world is different. You've brought a lot of you brought a lot of light to it for me. I didn't realize that many places, and it's only because the U.S. is overboard.
Yes.
You have to tip places, like you said, tip places that
The
you
dry
shouldn't
cleaner.
have to. Like I've gone into self-service coffee places where it's literally like a
Yeah.
robot that makes you the coffee. And I'm
Yeah.
like, am I tipping the robot?
Yeah. It's just it's about service. Well, here's the thing I was going to say too. People that have never worked in a restaurant business don't realize that even if you order a to go and you go get it, somebody had to take that food and nicely put it in the styrofoam things or whatever they're using and pack it up and make sure you got the salt and the pepper and the thing and all the thing and everything's there and put it in a bag and then wrap it up and prep it. Somebody had to prep it. Now, maybe you didn't get to meet them face to face, but somebody had to prep that. In some restaurants, they have someone that just exclusively does uh, orders to go. So that's the person there. They did a thing. They made sure you had your forks and your knives and your salt and your pepper and stuff like that. So, give them a buck or two. I used to go to Vegas and I'd always see these people that were gambling and they'd gamble and they'd lose $200-300, a couple $1,000 or something. And then they'd go looking for $1.50 hot dog. And I said, so you're willing to throw away $1,000, gambling or whatever, but you won't feed yourself a decent meal. You want to go get a hot dog for $1.50. So I don't know what I have to say about this, except that it's different in different parts of the world. When you work for tips, you take the gamble that you may get tipped and you may not. And some people are just adamant about it. They leave shitty little notes or something like that. And other people are very generous. My friend Bruce Baum, he's ultra generous because he says, well, those people are going to say, Bruce, I waited on Bruce Baum and he didn't tip me very well. And I said, Bruce, these people are never going to see you again. So I don't think, and you hear stories about big stars who are just cheapskates, and nor do I think because someone is wealthy that they should have to tip more. Frank Sinatra, he used to just toss out $100 bills here and there and stuff, and that's fine, I guess, if you got that much money and you're that generous to give to people. I think though that when you're gonna do business with a place, a restaurant, and you're going to be a regular, it's nice to let them know that you're not a cheapskate and you're willing to, contribute to everybody's goodwill. So everybody's going to do what they're going to do. Cheapskates are going to be cheapskates, and generous people are going to be generous people, and waiters are going to be good waiters and bad waiters, and waitresses are going to be good waitresses and bad waitresses. But people don't do these things for free. I've seen restaurants now putting up signs saying, in fact, this goes way back in the remember 70s. I forget, there was a restaurateur in town who used to take out billboards and if you can't afford to tip, then don't go out. Because that's what the part of the thing is. And again, it's all about how much. I think you should, I don't know, 20% to me is like that. I mean, that's what a manager of a big star gets, 10% is minimum. I don't know. Depends on what you get. Again, it all depends on how much money you spent as to how much money the person that waited on you should get. That's my theory. I've worked for tips. Have you? If you haven't, then maybe you better take a closer look at the actual culture of what it is, and don't be a cheapskate. Don't steal the salt and pepper or the ketchup and try to pocket the forks and stuff like that. Just be happening, and it is. It's supposedly the thing is that tip stands for to ensure uh, prompt service. Tips to ensure prompt service. And one thing that really works well is to tip before the meal. I had a friend that did that before. As soon as the waiter or waitress would come up to the table, he'd take out a $10 bill and he says, "There's $10. There's more where that came from. Treat us nice." And we always got great service. So we share the world with some people. Some people have to be waiters and waitresses, so they wait and wait on you. So be sensible in what you reward them with at the end of your meal. So that's pretty much it. Paul, it's been a pleasure. Everyone
As
out there,
always a pleasure, and you've enlightened me, and you're right. That's actually a good little, I don't want to say gimmick, but a good little thing. Give them the 10 because that way they know what they're working for. So
they know that you're willing to cough up with some money. Also, that also is true on cruise ships. We're on the cruise ship. Tip the guy right away, or the woman, whoever's your room steward. Tip him. Here you go. Here's $20. Take care of me. I'll give you more.
well, that way you get your extra towels and stuff on
Yes,
time, and they're
yes.
they're like,
I
oh, this
tip
guy's
maids.
this guy's cool.
I tip maid. That's another thing people don't know. You're supposed to tip maids. If you're going to be at a hotel for a few days, just give the girl a $5 bill when you leave. I put it on the bed. What I do, I don't particularly like maids coming in my room when I'm not there, or coming in bothering me. Knock, knock, knock at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I usually tip them when I get there. I say, here you go. There's more when I leave. Leave me alone. If I want towels, I'll let you know. If I want anything, I'll let you know. But don't come knocking on my door looking for, you need towels? No, I need to be left alone. I was up late last night. So tipping before actually works very well. And then, I knew a guy once used to tear a bill in half and give half it to him and go, you get the other half when we're done. But, if you take half of a bill into a bank, they'll replace it and give you a whole new bill. So that didn't work. Anyway, that's the Kirchenbauer half an hour. I think we went a little bit over. So tune in next week, and we've got more. So next week we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you a little preview. Actually, we're going to be talking about TV commercials that I personally, national TV commercials and local TV commercials that I personally have had removed from the air. So tune in next week to watch that. Take care and see you then.
Okay, it's fine. And exit. Fade. You did 35 minutes.